Dear friends, hello and welcome today aboard an air defense frigate. Today she's in the dock because she is being renovated. Starting off on the right foot, we have the honor and privilege of welcoming Captain de Verso, Jean Etienne Verlis, who will guide us today and introduce this magnificent ship.
The ship is 150 meters long and weighs 7,000 tons fully loaded with diesel and ammunition. A crew of 190 sailors operates it, which isn't a huge number, but it's more than the other Frem-type frigates, which also allows us to handle more things at the same time and to be more resilient, because we have more sailors who can be on deck at the same time.
So then this ship, what's its story?
These are ships that come from a tripartite program with the British on one side and the Italians. The Italians did the whole program with us and also have two ships of the same type. The British left halfway through the program and made the T-45S. They have 6 of them. And so we have technical specifications that date back to that period, especially regarding the steering system. Over there we have 2 fairly large rudders with quite substantial propellers that allow us to put the whole helm to one side. At maximum speed, that is 30 knots. So the boat turns extremely quickly, it leans, but we don't have any issues, nor with propulsion because we have gas turbines to do that, nor with the strain on the rudder stocks, which are designed for that.
Can we remind ourselves what this boat is used for?
These are air defense frigates. So their main mission is to fight against aerial threats, whatever they may be, whether it's missiles, aerial drones, etc. Well, all the
Fighter jets, all the
fighter jets. Why were they built? They're for carrier strike group defense, mainly for aircraft carriers.
means we have radars that reach farther, more modern, more effective.
Exactly. We have 2 radars on the ship, including a large black one at the back, we'll see later. That one is a Tillys Netherlands radar that can see up to 500 kilometers. And then we have another radar at the front, which doesn't see as far and is also used for fire control. For the ship's main weapon system, which is based on the Aster missiles, under a dome at the front. So we can't see it, and it's a flat active electronically scanned array, type radar, which rotates inside a dome. We may operate in areas with submarines, so we use a Thales 4110 hull-mounted sonar. Unlike Frems, we don't have a towed sonar. However, we have an anti-torpedo warfare system, which is a type of large cable, with hydrophones that we tow behind the ship to detect torpedoes. So it's a system for fighting against torpedoes. And
There, we launch decoys that make more noise than the
ship, then that's it. We have decoy launchers that pneumatically deploy decoys that make noise to outshine us to a torpedo.
Is it closed properly?
I don't know. So now we're entering the boat, which is really under construction because we have, in addition to the usual maintenance, we've reached a point in the boat's life where we needed to do maintenance on the living areas. So we're tearing down all the cabins, all the dining rooms, all the rest areas to bring them up to standard and be able to last at sea in good quality spaces. Honor, country, valor and discipline. Those are the 4 mottos of the Navy. There are 2 at the back and 2 at the front side. This is the rail of the Samai system, used to tow and remove the helicopter. We're removing it now. And instead we have this system here, which is easier to use and allows us to do the same thing. With a small tractor, with a tractor exactly. So here we have a long run that goes from the very back of the boat to the very front of the boat, so we're going to go through it. The sailors basically sleep in the sections at the back and in the sections at the front. The middle sections house all the propulsion components, engines, gas turbines and electricity generators. I'll just show you the crew's sleeping quarters. The Chevalier Pole offers a crew standard of living rated at 4. In the rooms, the oldest sailors are in pairs, and there are a few rooms for 1 sailor. Especially for the highest ranking officers, the junior officers are in rooms of 2.
It's actually a very high level of comfort, up to standard.
The goal is to remain at sea for extended periods without unnecessarily tiring the crew.
And who has what keeps them motivated?
Subtitling, multifunction printer subtitling.
And what length?
150 meters long, 150
meters.
Here are the dining rooms and the kitchen is in front. and below food storage, so the pantry, so that the steward can take care of the food supply. As sailors, we have a unique vocabulary and we want to use it.
By the way, we're in a passageway.
We're in a main passageway. There are transverse passageways. These are passageways. This boat is rather designed in an extremely redundant way, so all the systems are redundant and duplicated. And then we have technical corridors that run along the ship's sides from end to end to create, on the one hand, a sort of buffer zone against mechanical damage. Also to allow movement if smoke invades, and of industrial or operational cynicism. It also allows access to the side door. You saw the boat's freeboards are high, so you need a ladder to get on. It should be easier. We have a door that's about 1 meter above the water, which allows smaller boats to come alongside and board. That's actually how we rescued the 30 sailors from the Sunion sea boat this summer, which we'll talk about in a moment. Let's go up. A moment ago, I told you about the Aster missiles. We also have Exocet Block 3 anti-ship missiles. So they're here, Murmur.
40.
Murmur, 40 exactly. So the missiles are in the cradles here. One here, one there, and one there. Here we have a jet deflector that channels the missile rocket's propulsion jets. The missile launches at an angle and can be fired from one side to reach the other. They're very maneuverable.
What's the approximate range of the exocets?
About 350 kilometers.
It's getting good. You need a nice radar too. Exactly. We're going to fire at a target that was designated by a...
Athletic 2 or someone else, of course. We're going to take a little trip to the operations office. That's one of the two hearts. It's the ship's nerve center along with the bridge. On the bridge we steer, here we manage operations. So at sea there are always between 15 and 20 sailors on board when we're carrying out operations of a certain level who are working here. In the center a row of consoles acts as the operations brains. This includes the operations watch officer, main assistant, fighter controllers, and the officer in charge of anti-aircraft warfare for the Naval Air Force. I can also have access to a console. And then here we have the rest of the multifunction printer subtitling with the air surveillance consoles. Over there it will need to be blurred. Here's the electronic warfare section and the weapons module. And then here you have sailors who take care of the surface, that is all the surface tracks.
In the back, the Murmur 40 implementation and anti-submarine warfare activities, including situation monitoring for some teams. Use of
sensors. We handle everything here, using sensors and building the tactical picture to understand our surroundings. And then we have to be able to act and concentrate our forces to impose our power on the adversary. So all of that, we do it from here with radars, with sonars, with tactical data links. Everything to share what we see with others. We operate both anti-ship and anti-aircraft weapons from here. Welcome to the bridge. We're still under construction. But it's from here that we control the ship to position it in the right place. It's from here that we set the course, the speed, and it's also from here that we control the small caliber weapons. It's 12.7 mm, 20 mm, and the large caliber is 76 mm as shown here. We have two 76 mm turrets, one on each side, port and starboard, automelara, with a rate of fire that goes from 20 rounds to 120 rounds per minute.
And when do you? That's to defend against what kind of threat or to attack what kind of target, so...
We have capabilities in that. In the three areas of artillery combat, that is, fighting against aircraft or aerial threats, fighting against surface ships, and fighting against land targets. So
here we see the Aster launchers.
So here, these are actually the Aster vertical launch cells. We have a specific number, 48, that's more than on a frigate. That's because we're specialized in anti-air warfare, so we're more likely to fire that type of missile. Then we need to last longer.
And here we have several different types of Aster, right?
There are Aster 15S and 30s with Aster 15S used for the nearest targets. That's why we keep them with a ratio determined by the general staff. And the Aster 30s can be used at a certain distance, and especially when we want to go a bit farther, we mainly use the Aster 30s.
At the last Naval Air Show, the Navy presented the Aster 30 B1 NT designed for ballistic missiles. Is it expected to arrive soon? So, We should have this type of missile during the mid-life upgrade, which will take place in 2028 on the Fort Bain and in 2030 on the Cholepa. So, when we're facing adversaries who use ballistic missiles, how do we operate?
First of all, we have a satellite monitoring system that allows us to detect missile launches and get an idea of the impact zone.
That's the heat from the launch.
Exactly. We have a very short response time between the moment we detect the target and the moment when it's too late. And so this time is about 10 seconds. Oh, right. So during those 10 seconds, you have to be able to detect the target. To establish a track on it, to classify the track, to remove all the locks, security system to be able to fire. And against a ballistic missile, we will fire 2 missiles because the probability of interception is lower given the speed of the missile itself. So we fire 2 missiles each time.
Has this been done in actual operations or just exercises?
The previous mission's ship did it during operation, but also by other frigates, FREM type, which were deployed in the Red Sea in March, April. Is it?
During your March-April deployment, there were several rescue and protection missions, including for ships attacked by the tools. You contributed to that as well, right?
All the ships that were involved in this mission, overall, since the mission started on March 1st, 2024, convoys were formed. As I mentioned earlier, in naval warfare, what hasn't changed is the need to find the enemy. But then when you have merchant ships that need to move to supply the economy and the vital needs of a country, you have to organize convoys to be able to protect them. And we've fired at aerial drones several times, at missiles, and also at ballistic missiles on several occasions. And we, on the Chevalier Paul, engaged a surface drone,
Kamikaze naval drone? That's
a fishing boat that's quite hard to recognize. It's loaded with explosives. When it explodes, it creates a spray 150 meters high, and it's remotely controlled by another boat nearby. It's designed to crash into the ship's hull.
So there was really one of those coming straight at you, yes.
At that point, the boat was heading toward the ship we were protecting, but since we stepped in to defend it, we ended up between the merchant ship and the drone. We destroyed it with the small calibers I mentioned earlier, the 20 mm and 7 mm. So we haven't talked about electronic warfare yet? Yes. So we also have quite a few electronic warfare systems on board. We have radio interceptors, radar interceptors in different frequency bands, and then we have effectors, which means jammers, and then launchers that allow us to develop jamming and decoy tactics against different types of threats that could potentially threaten the ship. So we have 2 launchers, we have jammers at the front and at the back. These are...
Global positioning system jammers are mainly used to block a drone's communications.
Would it be piloted? No, global positioning system jammers have also been on board since. Precisely to counter drones that need this global positioning system information. So here, these are electromagnetic jammers that interfere with the radar band of the missile's seeker. All right, okay, there you go, that's what we're doing. Above the plate, you have the dome. Inside you have the plate radar spinning, which serves as the fire control for the Aster missile. At the back, you have the long-range radar that can see up to 500 kilometers, which is from Thalys, Netherlands, and it will also be replaced during the midlife upgrade. We'll have the latest generation radar, which has improved capabilities, especially for countering ballistic threats. Because it's a proliferating threat that we're equipping ourselves against, You
also mentioned the future cooling system for the midlife upgrade in 2028, did you say? 2028, 2030, 2030. What are we waiting for? Are there improvements in operational efficiency?
So yes, we are expecting improvements to the combat system and the sensors. So I mentioned the radar earlier, but the multifunction radar, which is the fire control system, should also be replaced. There's the combat system, all the consoles we saw in the operation centers, which will be completely changed with new networks and new features. We will have greater synergy with other French Naval Action Force ships, especially the FREM and Frigate de Défense et d'Intervention. Using a program called CETIS 3.0, from which we will take some of the modules and connect them to our different sensors. The radars differ on each boat, but the system's core will remain the same. And so we will benefit whether it's in terms of ballistic threats, the effectiveness of the Murmur 40 missiles, or the effectiveness of the Aster missiles. We will benefit from a major Enhanced capabilities to handle threats the ship will face throughout its service life. The ship will be decommissioned in 3840, so it has a few years left.
A few years? Friends, don't forget that the Navy offers dozens of exciting technical careers, from sailor all the way up to ship captain. Join the Navy for a few happy years. Thank you, Commander.
Thank you very much.
See you very soon.